So, this one's again gonna be about an personality test, or it's actually gonna be about an emotional IQ test. So, an EQ test, and I wanna see if it is good, if it is bad, if it is just something that I can maybe suggest even. I don't know. We're gonna see after the intro. As always. And I'm pumped for this episode. The only thing I am not pumped for is the fact that this site is not fucking responsible and is like offset. Quite. And therefore we're actually having to use this one, I guess. And I think then it should be fine. And there we are having it. The non-responsible test site from the psychcentral.com site, yeah? It's actually .com. So it is fine. I hope it is fine. I hope it is good. I hope it is good in this way. I hope that it is fine. I hope you can read it. I hope you can see it. I hope everything is good. The only problem that I'm having is this. Why? Why the fuck? I mean, like, it looks pretty old. I do hope that the test itself is not too old in terms of, like, just outdated quite. The justified text that you're also having there is really shit in terms of a design perspective. But yeah, let's take the test. Let's not kind of complain about the test beforehand. And it should only take 10 minutes. And I think yesterday, or it is actually an episode that I'm going to upload tomorrow. I'm actually not quite sure what I'm going to do. If I'm going to take this one at first and then the other one, we are going to see actually. But I've taken another test yesterday as well. And it's been like 2 minutes. Okay, they said it's... So in general, they said it's going to take me 2 minutes. You know, for all the tests kinda they're having. I don't actually know what it was referring to. I think I ended up just taking 18 minutes. And of course, I mean, I've read everything loudly and I've been just talking about things and whatnot. So maybe also just talk about this one. Why am I just taking an emotional IQ test? Or actually emotional Q test. Just because I believe that emotional intelligence is something that's incredibly important. Especially nowadays, fortunately, which kind of gives people that are not that maybe smart, even though I do not want to say that. Maybe it gives them a pretty huge opportunity, which might have been emerging at this point in time, even though I really believe that emotional intelligence has always been a pretty huge part of being successful, at least in my point of view, like only my point of view, just because, I mean, if you're an asshole and if you're not able to just empathize with people, you know, and be empathetic, then it's like, are you going to be successful? I don't know, because I believe to actually be a good leader, you need to be able to emphasize with people, and you just need to know how they're feeling, what they just need to be more productive, and all these things, like to just kind of ensure that they are working on their best level, you know, which is one of the reasons why often people say, and I'm also saying, that leaders are working for their people and not vice versa. You know, you're not working for your boss, unless your boss is a piece of shit, but most often your boss is working for you, ensuring that you're just feeling good, that you're able to work, that everything is nice with you and with your emotions and whatnot. But in general, being a nice person, being able to be nice, being able to communicate with other human beings, which is kind of the most important part there, has something to do with emotional intelligence. And it also has something to do with being able to be successful, since most often you're going to be talking to people, you're going to just be in conversations with people and whatnot. People are gonna matter, you know? This is kind of the bottom line there. So here are the first 10 questions. We can decide between completely true, mostly true, somewhat true, or false, which is going to be like the middle of it, then mostly false and completely false. When I mess up, I say self-deprecating things such as, I am such a loser, stupid, or I can't do anything right. Not really. I sometimes do it just because I think it's funny sometimes. Kinda. But I most often, I am then also gonna see that, you know, if I'm doing something like that just because I'm so into the space, you know, I'm so kind of just talking about it so often, whatnot, I'm then just reminding myself like, are you just saying this just because it is funny, or is it just because you really believe in it? But most often I'm not really gonna believe in it. And you shouldn't also do that as well. You know, if you're just saying things like that, it's not gonna make anything better, and it's probably gonna make everything worse. So there's no kind of reason to actually do that. Really unnecessary. I run into obstacles that keep me from reaching my goals. I mean, like, this is really something in between. Like, it comes up to just if it is something that I'm doing myself, like I am the obstacle that keeps me from reaching my goals, or if it is something else. And of course, there is something. Like, of course, there's something that is between me and my goals, which is hard work and whatever it takes. So I don't know. Even when I do my best, I feel guilty about the things that were not done perfectly. I think mostly false. Like, yeah, mostly. I'm able to stop thinking about my problems. Somewhat, yeah. Sometimes I'm struggling with it actually. Sometimes if it is a really big problem, then I'm quite unable to do so. But if it is about something quite small, then it's quite okay. I'm bored most of the time. If I wouldn't be recording all the fucking time, then yes, I would. So it's gonna be something in between. Like, it is actually a really great way to ensure that I'm not bored, and that I'm actually having something to do that I think makes sense and I think is something that's worth my attention and also time and energy and whatnot. So it's actually a win-win-win-win-win situation. It's not only a win-win situation where I'm benefiting from it and quite somebody else, but you're benefiting hopefully from it. I'm benefiting from it in just 700 different ways. It is insane. It really fucking is. The sixth one is, I feel like I worry about things that other people don't even think about. Yes, of course, because I'm doing other shit than they're doing. So it's also going to be something in between, because I know that this question is just about then it's actually going to be a false, It always depends, and I think this is the problem with most tests, that you're just able to interpret such a lot of things into all the questions. You can just be like, if it is really about just generalized that I'm just thinking about different things that other people are thinking about, yeah, of fucking course, because I'm doing fucking other shit than they're doing. If it is about me just worrying about completely nonsensical bullshit, no, I'm not doing that. Do I think that they actually mean that? Yeah, I do. So, what should I do now? When someone I care about is sad, I feel sad too. It depends. It heavily depends, but sometimes, yeah. Some people make me feel bad about myself. Well, actually, it's something in between. I'm taking this in between. Some people make me feel bad about myself no matter what I do. No, not really. Everything I try to do ultimately ends in failure. No, I don't think so. I'm not satisfied with my work unless someone else praises it. I think it is a pretty huge part about feeling good about whatever you're doing. If somebody comes up and is like, well, whatever you did is fucking great, of course, I'm gonna feel better about it, but I wouldn't say it's wrong. Yeah, or false for me at least. Score my test. So, this is it. Overall results 70%. Your emotional IQ is good, higher than average in fact. That means that in general you're able to express your feelings clearly in appropriate situations. You're optimistic and positive and adapt well to altering circumstances. You're comfortable with yourself and you know and appreciate your talents and strong. I didn't really think that it is such a small test, and such a short one. Maybe I think I'm gonna take it once again. Not even to increase my score, no, not really, but to, I don't know. Let's see if this changed something. If I'm like, well, thanks a lot, I guess. And it's broken. Well, that's cool. Emotional intelligence, the capacity to be aware of, control and express one's emotions and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. This is at least what Wikipedia says. And there's actually a few components, as I remember correctly, to emotional intelligence. And one of them is actually empathy, which is one of the reasons, and I think it's actually a pretty huge part of it. And therefore, it is also one of the reasons why empathy is such an important thing. Just because it is also part of emotional intelligence and or actually vice versa. Emotional intelligence is such a incredibly important thing just because empathy is a huge part of it. And there's actually, as I'm just seeing right now, different models of how to think and talk and whatever about emotional intelligence. But how do they actually measure it? The current measure of Meyer and Salovey's model of EI, which is emotional intelligence, the Meyer-Solovey-Caruso emotional intelligence test, is based on a series of emotion-based problem-solving items consistent with the model's claim of EI as a type of intelligence. The test is modeled on ability-based IQ tests. By testing a person's abilities on each of the 4 branches of emotional intelligence, it generates scores for each of the branches and as well as a total score. Central to the 4-branch model is the idea that EI requires attunement to social norms. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Therefore, the MSCEIT is scored in a consensus fashion, with higher scores indicating higher responses or respondents. The MSCEIT can also be expert scored so that the amount of overlap is calculated between blah 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 blah. So, I think this is actually a mixed model. The model introduced by Daniel Goleman focuses on EI as a wide variety of competencies, whatever, and skills that drive leadership performance. Goleman's model outlines 5 main EI constructs, and for more details, see What Makes a Leader by Daniel Goleman, Best of Harvard Business Review 1998. I assume it is a book, actually, or some kind of a review, because it is from the Harvard Business Review, or it was reviewed by the Harvard Business, whatever. The first one is self-awareness, the ability to know one's emotions, strengths, weaknesses, drives, values, and goals, and recognize the impact on others while using gut feelings to guide decisions. And it is such an incredibly important factor and thing, at least in my point of view. Like, if you're having the quote-unquote proper self-awareness, then you're also able to just say what is good for you and what is not good for you, since you're knowing yourself and since you know what is good for you and what is not good for you, which leads to not doing a lot of things that are, first of all, not working for you, like learning in a way that is not working for you, even though a lot of people say that you should be doing it in this way, but it doesn't make any fucking sense for you, like, reading aloud might not be working for you. And still people are going to be like, well, maybe you just try it out. This just worked so good for me, so you should also try it out. But yeah, if it is not working for you, why should you be doing it? Which is one factor and one thing. And also maybe to ensure your happiness, because if you know yourself and if you can understand yourself and your own emotions, then you're probably also going to be able to just regulate them and or just see what makes you feel happy and what makes you feel sad and what makes you feel bad and what makes you feel terrible and all those things, so that you can actually either dodge these situations and dodge these certain circumstances, and or that you're actually that you can deal with it and that you can just quote unquote regulate it and maybe even also just cope with it some sort as well, because if you can understand yourself, then you're also not going to be just terrified because of your own emotions, but you're just more or less, as I'm just thinking about it, you're going to be more calm. You're going to be like, well, I'm just feeling sad at the time, but I know it is because of this and that, so who gives a fuck? And I think it's maybe just making you feel more at ease, maybe, hopefully, some kind of, I don't know, but it definitely could. Then the second one is self-regulation. So it's basically the mixed model, and as I said before, there are several different kinds of models. But as I'm just seeing it, I think it is actually quite a good one, as far as I can tell. But take it with a grain of salt as always. The second one is self-regulation. Involves controlling or redirecting one's disruptive emotions and impulses and adapting to changing circumstances. Very, very, very important as well. If you're not in control of your own, I think they are referring to the bad, quote-unquote, emotions, then it's not good. It's not good. I know what I'm talking about, because I'm actually a pretty aggressive person, as I've been telling hundreds of times before, but still it's relevant right now. I'm really a pretty aggressive person, and when I'm exploding and when I'm then just doing some bullshit that I'm not really proud of in the end or afterwards, it is fucked up. And it really is not something to just, joke about. Well, I do, but it can be really not good, Then social skill, managing relationships to get along with others, really important, incredibly important. Empathy, considering other people's feelings, especially when making decisions. And then motivation, being aware of what motivates them. Even though I guess it has something to do with self-awareness, but I think there is just probably going to be a reason why it is just an extra bullet point there, because you could also just, well, you know what I mean. But let's actually talk about social skills, because I'm interested. A social skill is a competence facilitating interaction and communication with others when social rules and relations are created. communicated and changed in verbal and non-verbal ways. The process of learning these skills is called socialization. For socialization, interpersonal skills are essential to relate to one and another. Interpersonal skills are the interpersonal acts a person uses to interact with others, which are related to dominance versus submission, love versus hate, affiliation versus aggression, and control versus autonomy, categories, blah, 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 blah. Causes of deficits. There are actually deficits, and like you're probably also seeing that as well. I actually am having quite a funny feeling that, and I don't know if it is actually the truth, but I'm seeing it sometimes that when somebody is pretty smart, I have a feeling that their social skills aren't that good. I don't actually know why, but I know that because I'm also just reading that, and as you can see as well, autism is actually just something that can alter that, and that can just create or cause deficits. And sometimes those people that are having autism are pretty smart in some ways. I think it is then only going to be in one way, so that they, on one hand, they're socially like just really not good, so they have no social skills basically. But on the other hand, they can just really be good at maths or really be good at philosophy or grammar, whatever. I've just been looking up some maybe reasons why highly intellectual people, since I kind of have a feeling, and even though they are explaining it in a quite a good way, and I'm gonna read it. The cause of such a connection or trade-off between intellectual and social interest is unknown, but many hypotheses exist. So as they also say, it is something that's not kind of just studied or whatnot, but it could be there. And now it comes up to just thinking about these things and trying to maybe decide whether it actually makes sense or not. Intelligent people are more likely to exhibit nonconformists or even anti-conformist attitudes. Added, confirmed. So it is actually confirmed, or what? And are also likely to avoid conflict. Added, not conflict, disagreement. Oh, would actually be quite nice if they're just, editing it in terms of like actually changing the original one. But well, I'm taking this one as well. While these traits often make people highly respected, they do not represent good social skills. The term good is vague, it creates inaccurate perceptions. Intelligent people may be more likely to be arrogant because of their abilities. Added, misleading and unjustified. Well, I think I'm gonna ditch that one, since it's like, I don't know. But something that might be pointed out is that no, there is no correlation between IQ and social skills. This means that some people have a high IQ and have good social skills, while other people have a high IQ but bad, quote-unquote, social skills. Likewise, some people have a low IQ and have good social skills, and have low IQ and bad social skills. Obviously, I guess if you're having bad IQ and or low IQ and bad social skills, you might be pretty fucked, though. If you're like just dumb and an asshole, then it's like, I think it's getting pretty difficult, especially if you're just always having to deal, or often having to deal with people, which is definitely going to be once the case when you're getting hired. But I just thought like, well, do you actually need to be hired? Not really. You could also be a freelancer, but you then in the end are also having something to do with clients. So yeah, I think in the end, there's actually no way to, unless you're an entrepreneur, but then you're also just having to deal with employees most often, sometimes. Maybe if you're having a product and you're selling this product, then you're not having to deal with anyone, but you can do just whatever and produce whatever. This could work, This could actually work. But I don't know if this is what everyone wants to do, having a product and just living on the beach all day long, making passive motherfucking income which does not exist, kinda. Yeah, like it is pretty funny, Suddenly everyone is talking about passive income, being financially free, and just your freedom and all those things. I understand, like it sounds great, saying something like that, but it's clearly like a way to get people into something. I do not want to necessarily say that it is going to be something bad if somebody comes up to you and is like, do you want to be financially free by trading? Please, if someone is saying something like that, please go away, unless you're interested in trading. But most often, I think at least as how I have seen things, it's not gonna be good. But who knows? Who really knows? I do just really wanna bias you or some shit. It's gonna be like, it depends on the person. But you're gonna just, people are really, really good at just seeing through bullshit. Fortunately, we are really fortunate in that space. So just seek out for these things. Like, I don't know, really seek out for these things or to these things. And then we're also having an article from the lifehack.org site, and it is about 12 ways to improve your social skills and make you sociable anytime. It's not gonna work out, anytime, but it's a good title. Behave like a social person. Thank you for your attention. This was my presentation. Just be a social person. You can behave like a more social creature even if you don't feel like it. Don't allow anxiety to hold you back. Make the decision to talk to new people and to enter into conversations even when you're feeling nervous about it. Well, okay, it's in such a way, so it's fine. Never mind. The second one is start small if necessary. If going to a party or spending time in a crowd seems overwhelming, start small. Yeah, of course, gradually exposing yourself to new habits, to new things, to new stuff makes sense sometimes, even though I kinda sometimes prefer, or most often prefer, just starting to take fucking cold showers. I did it, now I'm doing it every fucking single day. And it's working quite fine. And I have been somehow gradually exposing myself to it, but I've just taken pretty big steps, I would say. Like, if it is about some shit like health and then taking cold showers, please really do it gradually. It is about your health. It is about actually staying healthy as well. So there's nothing to kind of joke about there and to just, be careful. The third one, ask open-ended questions. It's always good to start conversations. It's always good also to, in general, ask questions. But actually, open-ended. If you're being like, do you actually like cheese? And the person is like, no, I don't like it. Then, okay, that's it with the conversation. Thank you for your attention. Yeah. So it makes sense. It does make sense. Encourage others to talk about themselves by asking open-ended questions. I think it is kind of just one thing, but really asking good questions, questions that are maybe detailed, maybe going more into depth, more like, not like, okay, do you like trees, but do you like those trees which name I do not really know, but they are having not leaves but needles, and they're just really smelling pretty good, and I just like the way their body is. And do you think that we should be chopping them down? Maybe asking that. Maybe also not. Like, it depends. Create goals for yourself. Establish some small goals for yourself. Perhaps you want to practice one particular skill. Yeah, it also makes sense, even though I have to say, like, I like to do multiple things, but in this sense, I think practicing one at a time also just really makes sense. Offer compliments generously, by not just being overwhelming, by just once or twice or whatever, but not just overdoing it, which could also backfire, basically. Read books about social skills, how to win friends and influence people just because I'm seeing it. Amazing book. Amazing fucking book. It's insane. It really is a good one. The eighth one, practice good manners. I don't know. I know it is about social rules and all those things, but I myself tend to break some social rules. If it is about respect, if it is about just whatever, I don't know. Like, sometimes I kind of find things silly and do not really make sense. But of course, it also makes sense in some situations. In some situations, I think it's also totally fine if you are just breaking them, some kinda. But yeah, it depends on which rule it is. If it is about like, okay, some really heavy ones, which I can't think of right now. But if it is about just, why do you think just shaking someone's hand is just respectful or not? Well, yeah, it's about your opinion there. But if it is about like, okay, you're not just hurting somebody or touching somebody in some cultures in public, then you're also not gonna fucking do that, basically. The ninth one, pay attention to your body language. Yeah, totally. And also to other people's body language, which could show that they are not interested in you, they're not willing to talk to you. Join a social skills group, support group. Yeah, why not? Why not? The 11th one, stay up to date on current events, which could be a pretty good conversation starter, as just being knowledgeable in politics and in whatever. But most often it's actually pretty good to ask questions. And I think you do not necessarily have to be pretty educated in quite anything. if you're able to ask good questions and or questions that leads to a good conversation, I would say, which is going to be good for the one person because we like to talk about ourselves and what we have experienced and whatever most often. And therefore asking questions is a pretty huge tool. And the 12th and last one is identify and replace negative thoughts. If you have a lot of negative thoughts about your social interactions, it could become a self-fulfilling prophecy. It could. Things like, I'm really awkward and I will embarrass myself, may sit in the corner at a party. As a result, he may leave the party thinking that he must be really awkward because no one talked to him. But in the end, it was like really self-fulfilling because he thought it and then he actually did it based on his thoughts. And then after that, he thought it is actually the case because he didn't take any action. So maybe you're working on your social skills. Maybe you're working on your EQ, which I guess is definitely just possible, especially if it is about empathy and just being nice and all those things. Also think about your tonality, because your tonality also can change things relatively heavily. Because if I'm talking like this, then of course I seem a little bit more energetic than when I'm talking like this and I'm doing it like that. It just, it changes things, the speed, the tonality, all those things. Like, I think it just really kind of takes full circle and being a little bit more self-aware, I would say. But yeah. I think this is gonna be it with the episode. I really do hope that you've enjoyed it. I've just been eating some nuts while my PC was broken, actually. I wish you the best health, of happiness, and also success, and I also hope that you're gonna remind yourself and you're gonna be remembered, which basically means your legacy, which basically means it's just you're gonna be a nice person, then you're also gonna be remembered as a nice person. Relatively simple, still works, I guess. 3 other questions that I'm willing you to just ask yourself are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, since a lot of companies started out with solving some things that really pissed them off in the first place. I know. But I'm going to see you the next time. And I wish you the best. I'll see you. And please consider subscribing, to the podcast or the YouTube channel. I would appreciate that. I'll see you.